Sweeten is a two-sided marketplace where we connect homeowners with vetted general contractors, as you said. What we found is there's a lot of noise in the marketplace. And so making sure that we are connecting homeowners with trusted professionals, and we actually track those projects all the way to completion to make sure that homeowners are happy with the results.
So I'm curious about how that business model works for you, Jean, because I know that it's free for the homeowner, which I'm sure a homeowner like Scarlett loves to hear. It's also free for the contractors pay, rather, right? How does that sort of work, and how does the technology work there?
Yeah, so we have a win-win business model with our general contractors where we actually are incentivized to make sure that they not only get hired, but do a great job. So we charge them a small commission based on any awarded projects that they receive through our platform.
And they only get paid when the when the project is completed as well. So obviously you put a lot of faith in your vetting process. Can you tell us about the vetting process for the contractors, but also to some extent the homeowners as well? Because how do you weed out the bad apples on both ends?
Well, thank you so much for asking that. I think people often think about vetting the general contractors, which we do thoroughly, including their work history, checking references, seeing their license, insurance information. But it is equally important that we vet our homeowners because those projects are very important to make sure that they're realistic projects, because our general contractors' time is some of the most valuable things that they have and we have. So the last thing that we want to do is send them, to see a job site or see a project that isn't a real project.
I'm curious too, Jean, when you talk about vetting processes, historically with startups and tech companies in particular, sometimes that can lead to discriminatory practices. What have you included in your business model to make sure that, you are expanding the availability of these services for women homeowners, for minority homeowners?
Yeah, so as a woman of color in construction myself, Sweeten has always been about providing access so that people can grow their small businesses as construction professionals. I am deeply passionate about making sure that there's more opportunities for both women and minorities. We've launched a program called SAW, Sweeten Accelerates Women, and we actually have boosts within our matching algorithm and filters to allow for homeowners to actually select minority or women-owned firms. So we are really, really passionate about bringing more diversity and inclusion to construction.
That's great, and it fits the times, the changing times as well. Jean, you obviously have a very unique point of view on the state of housing too, because mortgage rates are rising pretty quickly. The 30-year fixed rate is now at 4.42%, the highest since early 2019, and we know that inflation on labor and materials is a problem and will likely rise as well going forward. So what do you see right now? Are these headwinds changing people's behaviors or the trajectory of the housing market?
So we're definitely seeing contractions on labor, right? So there is definitely a labor shortage right now, and that is impacting our timelines. It is compressed even further by the fact that you're right. People are really looking to renovate because they're looking to get into houses, even if they're not perfect, they're looking to get in before mortgage rates increase. So we are definitely seeing, a very unique situation. As long as homeowners are understanding of the supply chain problems and the labor challenges, their timelines just might be extended, but they can get their renovations done.
I'm so glad you bring up supply chain issues, Jean, because Scarlett was talking to me about this earlier. How much is that changing the way that home renovations are completed? And do you see the changes that we're going through right now as sort of permanent? Are they going to be fixed?
I think one of the big things that we've seen is homeowners specifically have really started to internalize the importance of lead times on products. And those lead times are now fluctuating, but it was something that for whatever reason, homeowners were not really internalizing before these supply chain shortages. So now when something says it's 16 weeks out or 20 weeks out, people understand how that will affect their timeline, and there might not be a viable alternative for them to use. Now, in most cases, luckily, there are alternatives. And so as long as homeowners are flexible and they're thinking about, maybe they can't get the exact model or make of the appliance that they wanted or tile that they wanted, but if they're flexible, they can get their project done.
So I'm curious also about the homeowners that are out there, the home buyers too, because the profile is changing. We know that the millennial generation is reaching their financial prime. They're looking to buy homes when they can actually find them. What about the typical general contractor, or at least those you work with? Are there enough GCs to take on all this extra work, especially if people are buying existing homes that need quite a bit of renovation in order for them to move in and to really make use of the space?
Yeah, so platforms like ours really allow a small business to be able to grow and scale without really investing too much in their back office. So we take on a lot of the sales and marketing. We have a communication platform. All the payments and invoices can go through our platform. So we're really, a business in a box for them. So we are seeing a lot more young people. So people who maybe went into a different trade, or they were in interior design or architecture, and then going and getting their license to become a general contractor and moving into the field. So there's definitely a ton of opportunity, as you rightly pointed out. There is so much demand right now, and we're excited to usher in a whole new generation of general contractors, into our marketplace, but into the industry in general.
So in other words, what you're saying is that your technology, your platform enables people who might not have been able to be GCs earlier really lean into that because you take care of a lot of the administrative work on their behalf.
Exactly. So a lot of people in market have the skills. As I said, they went to either architecture school or interior design school. They have the technical skills and they understand, the logistics and the actual building vocabulary. But what they didn't have the confidence is to run a small business. And so that's what we really can help a general contractor with. Again, they do need to be in business for at least 6 months. We do need to have references. They can't be newbies, but as long as they have proven that they are committed to being a general contractor and committed to customer service, then we can absolutely help them with all of the other things, all the other paperwork and things that sometimes trip them up.
Well, sometimes also contractor can feel like a bad word just because it feels like there are a lot of horror stories surrounding it. Jean, it feels like one of those industries where you really rely on word of mouth, right? You love to get a referral from a friend like, hey, I worked with this guy. He's amazing. I worked with this woman. She's amazing to work with. How do you sort of encourage that word of mouth referral in your business? How do you differentiate your product to create more of that?
Yes, so we're very lucky. We actually do have a quite high viral coefficient for Sweeten itself. So that means people refer people to Sweeten, not to the general contractor they used. And that's because they understand that every project is different and requires a different general contractor. So just because someone did a great job on your townhouse doesn't mean that that same general contractor wants to do your friend's bathroom. But we have a whole assortment of general contractors working at all different price points. And so we really can match you with the best professional for your project. So that's how we address that way. And what was your other question? Sorry, I forgot your question.
Well, I was also just wondering if I may sort of switch gears a little bit. I just came back from Texas where I talked with some real estate agents who said that a lot of the projects they're seeing on the ground are people who bought, a tiny house, big, long, a long time ago for pretty cheap. And now that land value's gone up a lot. So they're tearing their houses down and building like a 4-bedroom, bigger house with a different wing that they could rent out.
McMansion.
Right, a little McMansion. Are you seeing that in the data? Are you hearing more about that given the kind of housing supply shortage we're seeing in the US?
We have not seen that, although I am not surprised to hear it. We definitely, land values, especially in a booming market like Dallas, is going to be going up. What we've seen is that our average order value, even through the pandemic, has stayed strong. So we're doing transformational renovations where people are investing, almost 6 figures into that renovation. And we've seen that remain steady, which, frankly, I was surprised by, given everything that we've been through in the last couple of years.